I'm Ryan, and welcome back to the S.O.U.N.D Project.
I want to let you know we have some awesome recording studio tours coming up, so make sure you subscribe and hit the notification bell so you don't miss out on these amazing videos.
Today we have Antoine Selle with us from Trinnov. So Antoine and I, we've known each other for about 2 years now.
Something like that. I think so.
Yeah.
Already.
Yeah, which is crazy. Yeah. But yeah, so like with us being at NAMM, I thought it would be really cool to have you on the podcast. That's cool. Because we've had a lot of conversations with Trinnov. Trinnov's involved in a lot of our studios. So it just kind of made sense. So cool. Thanks for being here.
Thanks for you. Thinking of me.
Yeah, of course.
Please, it's cool.
Yeah. So firstly, I just like kind of want to start off with like, what's your history? Like, where are you from? Like, what got you into music?
Yeah. So I think I started like playing guitar when I was a teenager.
Okay.
About like 15, 16.
Mm-hmm.
So I got a band, cool. Playing. I was a lead singer.
Okay.
Yeah, it was nice. So this is where get me into music. So
nice.
I started to listening to all that band because I'm going from France, and in France it's hard to find nice music. The kind of music I'm listening to, so yeah. I'm always looking for more English music or American music. So I was really into it, and at some point I was like doing some studies in biology. Biology, studies in biology. And I was like, I don't want to do this. It's just something I don't want to do. So I started saying, okay, maybe I can find a job somewhere,
mm-hmm.
in the music. So I started like doing how say this? It's a backline.
Oh yeah.
So I was
mm-hmm.
doing like concert, doing some amplification, settings and recalling and being some on stage, like putting microphone and everything.
Okay.
And the thing is, doing this was like, oh, cool, that's nice. But yeah. And the thing is, S.O.U.N.D engineers
mm-hmm.
were always late. Always late. So rehearsal were starting and there was no one there behind the console. So I was starting to go there behind the console saying, okay, let's start the rehearsal. So let's do the kick, let's do the snare. Yeah. So I was starting to do this on a regular basis. And at some point the guys say, hey, you know how to do it. Why not you're just doing this?
Yeah.
Let's work as a S.O.U.N.D engineer. So I started working as behind the console, and things just go in a normal way, just step by step. And then I started to make bands. And so I started touring. I started doing all the concerts in the France, starting to be a little in Europe. And at some point I was like, it's nice to be live, in full, like small stadiums, like nice used places. And I say, oh, maybe I need a studio, That maybe I need to settle down. And I want not adapt to the room, but people adapting to me,
mm-hmm.
It's going to be my room. So I got the opportunity to record a band, and this is where it started. I went to a studio with this band, and in this studio was a mess. So I went there, the room, all the gear was not plugged in. The consoles was an old, D-command or something like this from the Pro Tools. So if you want to go something in the one, nothing was on the one. So I said to the band, hey, come on, I know I come from live, so just step away for maybe half the day, whatever. We're gonna win time. So step away. And so I put down everything, cable everything from scratch.
Okay.
And we started the station, and we do it for maybe 10 days or something like this. And the owner of the studio came in and say, what happened in the studio? This was not plugged in. This was not working. How did you do this? And he said, you want to work for me? I say, yeah, why not? It's far from my home, but let's find a deal. So I started working in studios, and same thing, step by step. I record bands, and and we get the opportunity to buy some stuff because I was like, this room is digital. There's some hardware gears,
mm-hmm.
but I like analog stuff.
Yeah.
I like vintage stuff. I like old stuff, and we find like magic. A studio was closing, and they were selling all the stuff, like an old SSL, Black EQ, 4K series.
Wow.
Nothing was working, of course. Like 56 channels. There was just one channel coming from the Pro Tools that were just doing this, and every time something was not working, they're just moving the track to the other place, and just until nothing was working anymore. So we get all that stuff, the console, the speakers, the microphone, the gears, and it was coming from Pate Marconi, which was a huge studio in France near Boulogne-Billancourt when they were recording the Beatles, with the Rolling Stones. So I get some stuff from Pate Marconi and EMI, like I remember the 1176.
Yeah.
Blue stripe.
Okay.
Paired, like 232, 233, like crazy stuff like this. And so I was getting into it, and I was like, okay, I'm self-made. At some point, I need to go further than that.
Okay.
So I went into Mix with the Master seminar with Michael Bower, and I was like, mind blowing.
Yeah.
I just realized that I have all these gears, and now I can maybe try to know how to use them, really.
Yeah.
So I built like, a rack with compressors and EQs, the way it was working. And I started doing this with the SSL because in the meantime, I recap all the SSL. I spent 1 year redoing all,
wow,
soldering all the condenser and everything. So it was like, it was nice. And the studio was like now big with all these gears. And I was starting to do, tracking right, recording right, mixing right.
Wow.
I was like, yeah, I was great, And at some point I feel like, okay, that's it,
Yeah. That's what you're going to do?
Yeah, I'm going to do this all my life, like spending nights and weekends and all thing. I got a family and something at some point, so I need to, I need to move on.
Sure.
So I say, in the meantime, I've made a record. It's Yal Naim.
Okay.
Yeah. So we made that record. So I recorded it. So they kept a lot of my recording.
Okay.
And they sent it to Michael Brower, who mixed it. So I got my name next to him on the same album. I was like, holy shit, this is it. This is what I wanted.
Yeah.
I want, and we have like some sort in France, like the Grammy Awards, the French Grammy Awards. We call it the Victoire de la Musique.
Okay.
This is where, but there's nothing for technical stuff. It's only artistic.
Okay.
And they won. So I feel like maybe if they won, maybe I won something too.
Yeah.
At the same point. So I was like, okay, I made it. So I need to move on. So I quit. Like this. I say, okay, I quit. And I started to do, some sort of a renovation for house because I'm some sort of a jack of all trade.
Yeah.
I know how to repair everything, doing electricity, plumbing, all those things. So I love drywalls and everything. So I was like, maybe I want to do this.
Okay.
So I did it for maybe 2 years. Same thing. I was like, this is it. I don't know if I want to spend my life doing this, putting all the stuff down. Yeah. It's like tiring. It's like you
were you like building houses?
Yeah.
Like, dang.
Yeah,
okay. All right.
not maybe building the houses, but the interior, drywalls, insulation, electricity, designing the electricity, the plumbing, pipes and everything. That's something I like to do.
That's a lot of work, man. Yeah.
That's fine. I like to do this. And then same thing. I say, I need to move on to something else. So I start looking for a job and I start doing all the interviews. I'm self-made. I don't have any some sort of a diploma or something like this. So it was like hard. In France, if you don't have that CV with all the masters and everything, looking for a job is hard.
Okay.
And I was like, okay, let's try it. So I tried different things. And every time I was like, no, you don't have the, I can get you in. You don't know how to do this. I was like, I'm sort of I know to, I can try, give me my chance.
Sure.
And I find this some job thing, support at Trinnov.
Okay.
I said, Trinnov, that's great. And let's try it. So I tried it. And the people there were crazy. Arnaud Laborie is a kind of a genius. It's somewhere from another planet, I think. So I went there. So it's like job interview. So it's like 30-minute job. So I called my wife and say, okay, I'm going to get there. So I call you back when it's done. So I'm going to tell you. And I stood there. And maybe we talk for 4 hours, something like this.
Wow.
So I got my phone like vibrating, like so my wife was getting like, what's going on? Where are you? And I was like, I don't have any more thing in my mouth. My mouth was like, so just paste inside it. But it was crazy. So then I get the job.
That's awesome.
This is where I started like 6 years ago.
Okay.
So I've done support for 5 years. So support is like, I was doing support for the whole world for every market, like high-end, pro audio, cinemas, and everything. And same thing. I was starting to go into deeper into the thing, like trying to understand everything and being able to make things better.
Yeah.
So I go into the settings, trying to do some better tweaking and everything, and I started to find some of a trend about it. It's like, if I change this and change that, it sounds better, and it's doing it every time.
Yeah.
So let's try to help people doing on the remote, because you can access the unit and you can do this. So I was starting to do this, and people were just calling just for me, saying, "Hey, can I talk to Antoine? Because I heard he's doing things." So I was like, "Okay, let's do it." So I've did this for just like a year ago,
Okay.
and then our sales manager from the world, because we have one sales manager for Pro at Trinnov, and he quit, and Arnaud Destinet say, "Hey, you want to do this?"
Yeah.
I was like, "Wow, that's pretty cool. That's cool, because Pro world is my world. It's like going back, and maybe I'm going to be able to go back into the studio, because I'm missing it.
Yeah.
I'm missing mixing, because mixing is something, when you have goosebump and you do something.
Yep.
Man, it's great.
Getting that hands-on experience.
Yeah. And so it's like, maybe at some point I'm going to be inside this, and maybe I'm going to be into a studio round, so I can do some, to change things. And this is where I am now.
That's amazing.
Sales manager for Projo. It's like, wow, okay. But this way.
So backing up like a lot, because I mean, I just know you from Trinnov, and I think when we first met, you were in support, and
I was there.
Yeah. But I had no idea like your background, the fact that you did the live sound, and then even right before we started filming, you were talking about how you did studio, and that was the first time I knew that you had a studio background even. Yeah. So in the live realm, firstly, the fact that you were self-made, how'd you learn? Was it just on the job and realizing?
It's on the job. It's like you're facing an issue and you have to find a solution for it.
Right.
So you have a bass drum, it's not sounding. So you go there on the stage and tune the skin, and go back, place your mic, and say, okay, this is sounding. So maybe from some EQs, and I'm also starting to watch my colleagues working on the back and saying, okay, oh, he's doing like this on the gate. Oh yeah, maybe I should try this. And and from what they was doing, I'm just trying to improve things and looking for it. And that's just, and I'm always doing this. I'm interested in something, and I just push it to them, and see how it's working. And once I'm done, I'm like, okay, that's fine. Let's move to something else.
Dang. So then, moving to the studio world, was it pretty easy for you to move from live to studio? Because that's a different beast.
That's a different beast, yeah. And I think at the beginning I was a bit afraid of it, because it's like, in live, it's live. When the concert is finished, it's finished. Yeah, you go back home, even if the sound was not right, you made something wrong, it's finished. Nobody's going to talk about it. It's like maybe in studio, it's not like this. And this is what I discovered. It's like a never-ending story.
Yeah.
It's like, oh, so retrack, again and again and again and again. But, same thing. I've used my skill of placing microphone. I started to read books about where to place the mic and how you can do better sounding. And I starting to do crazy stuff, I remember once we had a band where 3 guitars, so 3 amplifiers, and there was no more room for the third ones. So I used my car. I opened my car, we put the microphone in, the amplifier in, and that's all. And now when I'm listening to the album, I can hear the sound of my car inside. It's like the ambience of the car. It's like, So,
that's crazy.
And I'm always looking for, nice stuff, like using a mic inside. I was using, the room was 3 rooms, and there was the toilets on the back of the room.
Okay.
And one day I was in the toilet, and I was hearing the guys playing the drum. I was like, oh, it's reverberating in here.
Yeah.
And it's so I started putting a mic there and slacking it with the compressor, and putting it on slightly on the. I was like, yeah, cool. That's that's experiencing
awesome
stuff. When you have time and you have the, people that are okay to experience stuff. It's in the audio, this is the way it is, and this is how.
That's awesome.
Yeah,
that was when I was in college. One of my recording professors, we had this metal trash can that just kind of hung out in the studios. And he grabbed it and put like sandbags in like inside, and then put a mic inside the the metal trash can, and it like did so we were recording drums, and it was a decent sized live room, but that basically sounded like a compressed drum kit. Like it was really, really cool, and I'm like, what even makes you think I'm gonna try that? Like, but it sounded amazing. Like we didn't have to necessarily add like external compressors after that. And so speaking of compressors as well, so talking about the 1176 like Blue Stripe, like having the stereo pair of them, like do you still have them?
It's not. It was not mine, you know.
Okay, got you.
I didn't owe the money there.
Got it. Okay.
It was my boss at this time, and it's still there. The studio is still there.
Awesome.
I can maybe show you some picture at some point.
Yeah.
Because we built the studio together. Some sort of.
Okay.
We designed this kind of acoustic stuff. Yeah, you know, we wanted to have like a kind of a Abbey Road style. You know, some sort of a not. Yeah, and we did the acoustic like just like this, just for a try, you know, just
so cool.
to have fun. So yeah, all I remember is doing all the cable for the SSL. You know, you have this huge tape with small pins there, and you have to solder them one by one. So I've done all the cabling, and also inside the studio. Then what I've done is like I put some patch all over the place.
Okay.
In the toilet. On the in the room on the upper level, something like that.
Okay.
Even on the outside, so you can say at some point, if you want to record something, just plug the XLR.
Yeah.
It's going to be on the console, patch it, and you can record whatever you want.
Right.
I've done the same thing with the speaker cables, so you can put amplifiers everywhere in the studio and just put a mic and the cable, and
it's ready to go pretty much. Other than the patchwork, it's so much easier.
Yeah.
So do you still get to do much studio? Like obviously working with Trinnov, you know, you're in studios, but
No,
do you, done tracking?
No, track at some point. Yeah, I was done with tracking. You know, I was done with. I don't want to say that, but I was done with all the musicians and everything, all the what is all around. You know, and you need to rest from this a bit at some point. But my thing was mixing at some point, really mixing, and I'm missing it right now nowadays. And I'm thinking about. Maybe at some point I could get some gear at home now, and maybe why not having some, a Pro Tools there, and maybe some small console, because I need a console. I don't want to be in my mouse and my pointer clicking. It's not the way it is. You know, I'm used to dance on my console when I was mixing. Jumping around, because it's something Michael Bro told us. It's like you have to, if you want to push something, you have to. It's coming from you. So if you want to push the guitar, jump on the guitar on the console and push them and see. And what you can transfer it to the mix. Yep. So do this. So, at some point, maybe I need a small console, something like this. So
that's one of those things that like, I know that a lot of people talk about like the in-the-box plugins compared to like the hardware. And it's like, I mean, a lot of the in-box plugins like sound really, really good, like compared to their original hardware. Yeah. But there is something about having all the outboard gear and having the console right there. Like you're not so much worried about the visual, like you're relying on your ears way more.
Exactly. You're just getting on your senses of your hearing.
Yeah.
You don't have the eyes. What also I was used to do is like switch off the monitor.
Yeah.
And you just, no more lights in the studio, just sound and focus on the console and just play with it. And it's like, that's.
It forces you to just listen. Yeah.
Exactly. And that's, I'm missing this.
Yo.
It's like, I'm going to cry.
Yeah. No, I completely get that. That was one of those things too. Like every time I look back on, cause like my university has done a lot of upgrades to the studio since I was there. And it's like, man, like what I would do to be able to go back to use the studio. But then also I kind of look back and it's like, man, I should have been living in that studio. Like I was in the studio a lot, but it's like, man, I should have just been sleeping in there because
I've done this.
Like, yeah, right.
I've done this.
Because it's so like, I mean, if I had a final project or something, I might be sleeping in there, but it wasn't ever, I mean, I spent a lot of time in there, but it's like, man, I wish, because you have so much more access to gear that it's expensive, like and to have a space that's treated properly and all of that. And so it's like, man,
I was lucky. I was really lucky about this.
Yeah,
I was so much lucky. I was like, okay. And the thing is, I don't want to talk about it that much, because it's like, come on, I don't want to show people that all I have, It's like I don't want to. So I was like, okay, but yeah, and plugins, hardware, yeah, they're maybe sounding the same, but when you're reaching the distortion point, you don't have like all the crackles and like digital stuff that is bleeding your ears.
Yep.
You have this magic distortion and like not perfect
Nothing
sounding.
like a true tube sound.
Yeah,
Yep.
It's like, oh, yeah, it's great.
That's amazing. Well, then, so moving to now, like with your time at Trinnov, so like, what is the new role that you're over? So being over all of Pro Audio, what all does that entail?
It's like, it's like accounting stuff.
Sure.
Like following the sales and trying to train people. I think right now, with my background as a support, I can train people and being better on doing demos and better on, knowing the product. Because this product is kind of it's a super product.
Yeah.
It's like something that's going to change your life, but you need to how to handle it,
Sure.
Because if you do something wrong, it can be the worst thing on earth, because it's gonna not do it in the right way. So so my job right now is try to train as much as possible the people that are selling the product.
Yep.
So this is so I'm just flying around Europe, world. I haven't done the Asian side already, so maybe at some point I need to fly there. So, and what I want to do is a little more of the US because I'm listening to this music.
Yeah.
And I'm stuck to the 20s when I was like 20 years old, like skateboarding and this, all the punk rock stuff and all everything. And I'm so pleased that they're all releasing new albums right now. It's like Blink 182. New album there. So so I have something with the US.
That's
like,
awesome.
I like this,
Is the like punk rock like realm a lot of the music that you guys played or that you enjoyed?
Yeah, of course. Yeah.
Okay, that's awesome.
I was playing punk rock.
That's amazing.
I even got at some point. I still have it because I was using guitars and everything. So I have the Tom DeLonge one, the yellow ones.
Yep.
With the one mic like there.
Okay.
And the price just gets raised so much. I think I paid it. It's in euro, but I paid it maybe 500 euros, something like this.
Okay.
Because it's a Mexican stuff, that's something not special. But now it's like I see on Reverb some people like selling it for $3,000.
Yeah.
Something like that. It's like holy shit.
Yeah.
That's crazy. So
just gonna watch that skyrocket.
So maybe at some point, do I have to set it? No, I'm gonna check it. That's all. So they're selling on their books, I have old guitars there, but that's cool. That's the way it is. So maybe at some point, maybe my son is gonna play guitar.
Sure.
Oh, I don't know, somebody. So everything's there. So
That's awesome.
Grab it.
Well, and I guess I keep talking about you working at Trinnov, but there's probably a lot of people that like while we use Trinnov stuff all the time, like a lot of people may not realize exactly what Trinnov, what the units do. So do you want to talk a little bit about like what your products do?
Of course, it's a room correction.
Yeah,
that's for sure. It's like tailoring your speakers for your room because we all had this feeling like when going through a shop, listening to speakers and say, "Oh, this is the one. This is it. I want this one." Yeah, and you buy them. You wait for it because sometimes you have to wait a little more to get them. So they arrive at your place. You put it in your room. You can't wait to play music you love, and you play it. And it's like, holy shit, what's going on? So you try, you move them around and say, you call your rep and say, what's going on? Is there something wrong with the speaker? They're not sounding like the right way. Yep. And this is where the Trinnov is the magic of the thing. Yeah. They're going to tailor the speaker for your room because of the reflection of the room, the mode of the room. The optimizer inside, the art of the thing, is the game changer for everything.
That was something. So the first time that we met, it was going through. You were like training our team on how to use a Trinnov, and this was something like I should see if we have pictures of it so we can like put it in the episode. But it was like we set it up in our very small conference room with two like Focal monitors, and it like even the difference it made in our little tiny conference room was like, I mean, you can hear the difference. It is absolutely insane. And kind of like what we were talking about before we started recording was just that you don't have to go back out to your car now to listen on how is it translating.
It's crazy. You're winning time.
Yeah.
It's like you don't have, and the more you're using it, the more confident you are about it. Because at the beginning you're like, it's not possible. There's something wrong with this thing, because I'm used to my room. It's there's something wrong. So you don't want to believe it. So what I'm used to do also is made several presets, with step by step, getting into it, know. So I'm used to leave people like use it for a week, just use the preset I made, maybe the first one, then the next one, and then the last one, and call me back, and see what is going on. And most of the time, people are saying, "Yeah, I kept the number 3 because this is it. I try it, and I just check in my car, and it's exactly the same."
That's awesome.
Yeah. That's how what the Trinnov is doing. It's like you're gonna gain time, confidence in your mix. You don't know and even you can, when you finish your mix, you're happy with it, and you send it to your customer, the musician or something like this, and then you're waiting for the feedback always. It's like you open the mail and you have like a list like this, or you have a call, you're spending hours saying, the bass drum is not like the way it should be, the reverb on the vocal should be like this, something like that. But you went back into the studio and you send to it and say, they're talking it's like this, what they are saying.
Right.
So, and this is where you understand that the room is making something on your sound. This is where you need to have something flat so you can have translate on the outside.
Right.
So, and when you do this, you mix, you send the mix, and what you're gonna get is like, maybe a little more vocal, or maybe you can do something on the guitar. But don't worry, it's not that much. And
it gives you, I feel like it's something that gives you more time to be able to focus on truly the music and like the production of the song versus all right, how's it sound in a car versus how it sounds in my room. Like
it's like more artistic. Like it's like, I can, because of the time alignment, delay alignment, frequency alignment, you can hear everything. It means you can hear the tail or the reverb.
Right.
So when the reverb is ending, you can hear the pre-delay, you can hear the shape of the reverb. So you can really select the reverb you want to put there. So you can play with effects, you can play with, depths and delay, and it's like crazy.
You can really focus on just mixing.
Mixing, just enjoy. Just, put the guitar on and pan them, because even with the phase alignment, if something is panned there, it's going to be there, not somewhere there. So even in the car, even in your AirPods or something like that, it's going to be there. So that's crazy. It's a crazy stuff.
That was the biggest thing when we went through the training, was just the the fact that it recognizes if your speaker is ever so slightly off, that it's just it fixes it. Like it's insane. So it's a really cool product, and it's really hard to get that through just talking about it. It's something that you have to hear.
You have to hear it. It's ask your. It's always something I'm saying. When customer, even there at the NAMM show. We talk about it. So ask your rep and get a demo in your room. That's all. This is where you can start hearing it, because talking about it is something, but hear it. This is a processor. It's audio coming through. So just hear it and get a demo. That's all. Get a demo.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
Well, again, thank you so much for being a part of this. Like I said, we were really excited to have you on this.
Super cool. This is my first time I feel like a star, It's like, with lights and everything. But that's cool. Super cool. Thank you so much thinking of me. That's a great experience.
Thank you. Well, again, thank you. And if you have any questions for Antoine about Trinnov, go ahead and comment those below. And we'll see you next week on the S.O.U.N.D Project.